we'll gather around, feel the love compound. Blue elephant is strong.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So we are continuing with our Halloween projects, and today's project, bear with me, it's a little on the longer side, but I promise you if you stick with me, it'll be worth it. It turns out amazing. I'm in love. So the first thing I'm going to do is it's going to be a tray. You guys saw the tray mold that we're going to use, and I am using these little 2 by 3 inch pieces of wood. And we're going to paint some images on them. Now, this is going to be unlike any tray that I have made, I think. Yeah, I've not done anything like this. This is cool. Anyway, so I'm kind of going with the purple and the orange just to kind of offset a little bit as far as color variation goes. I don't want this to be a cutesy tray. I want this to be like not cutesy whatsoever. That is what I'm going for. Kind of saw the images that I want to paint onto these. Now, my initial thought process is I want to do them kind of all silhouetted-ish. Now, it's going to change a little bit as things kind of progress on, but we'll get into that a little bit later. Now, the first thing I'm going to do after my paint has dried is I'm taking my carbon paper, which I have used many times before, and I'm just going to outline these images onto the wood that I painted. Now, I did not paint the sides of the wood. I did not paint the backing of the wood. If you've not used wood and resin before, you should seal it with something. In this project, I don't, but I'm going to kind of show you how I overcome it a little bit here later on. But for right now, we're just going to go ahead and just kind of go over all of these. Now, for this, you can't really see it as far as on the video goes, but I could see it enough to paint. Now, I had issues in some paintings that I did last year where I used the black carbon paper and I really couldn't see what I was painting. I couldn't see the lines. For those of you that have come across that, if you don't know, they do have a white, actually they have multiple colors, but they do have a white paper that you can use to kind of transfer. I'm assuming it's not carbon, it's something else, but it's the same principle that you can find for those darker colors so that your images pop out so that you can see to paint later on. Now, this pumpkin, I'm going to tell you, that and this haunted house are my absolute favorite. I don't know why, but I really, really, really like them a lot. Anyway, as I continue to do this, and all I'm going to do for the next piece is just kind of paint it with the black. I will highlight it with some white, but we're gonna go into that later on. But for now, as I go through this, I'm going to bounce off. I'm going to put some spooky music on for you guys. And I will be back when we are ready for the next step.
The graveyard shadows creep. Skeletons arise from sleep. Bones rattle in the night. Underneath the pale moonlight. They start swaying side to side. Screaming laughs they cannot hide. Spooky rhythms fill the air. Dancing skeletons everywhere. Moonlit battle bones clack. Groovy beats don't turn back. Spooky sights, a midnight show. Skeletons, they steal the glow. Skulls a wobble, ghosts take flight. Misty fogs embrace the night. Graveyard's rhythm haunts your feet. Join the dance, feel the beat. Pages move in harmony. paints a creek in bony stance. Under moonlight ghosts they dance. Moonlit battle bones clack. Groovy beats don't turn back. Spooky sights, a midnight show. Skeletons, they steal the glow. Moonlit rattle bones a clack. Groovy beats don't turn back. Spooky sights, a midnight show. Skeletons, they steal the glow.
Okay, so I'm gonna come back real quick and just let you know what it is I'm doing. Now, there are certain areas on here that I want to make glow. And so that I don't have any issues with the color that's beneath it bleeding through, or my glow powders not showing up the way I want, I am going to just go over the areas where I am putting the glow powder in white. It's going to highlight it and make it a little bit easier so that I don't have any issues with it later on. So that's all I'm gonna do now, and then I will be back when we're ready to add the glow powders.
Moon above casts eerie light. Spirits dance in shadows bright. Midnight whispers in the air. Haunting melodies everywhere. Witch laughs, wild ghostly grin. Night begins, dark magic sin. Through the night sky they soar. Hearts pounding, wanting more. Witch and ghost in moonlit flight. Together lost in endless night. Stars blink like spectral eyes.
Okay, so I've got all my white areas all put out there, everything that I want to do. Now, I could use resin, UV resin like I have in the last video, and mix my glow powders into that and then put it on here, but that's not what I want to do. So what I'm going to do is I am taking some of my gloss varnish and I am mixing in the glow powder with that, and then I'm just going to use my silicone tool and I'm going to apply it in the areas that I want it to go. Now, obviously, I did wait for the white paint to dry, and then we're going to just let this kind of do its thing. Now, the glow powders that I'm using, these are honestly the best ones that I have found. I have used several different ones. These are the best. This one that I'm using now, you would have seen in the coffin video that I did last. This is what I used to do the cross on the coffin box. And it's phenomenal how it shows up. Like, these are top-notch glow powders, hands down. And I'm going to use, they're all Art and Glow. That's the brand name. And I'm not like sponsored or affiliated with this company whatsoever. So it's a great product. I love it. A little bit more on the pricey side, but in my opinion, 100% worth it. Like, you don't need nearly as much as you do with some other ones. Now, obviously, it is a powder. It's not mica. So you do have to kind of mix it differently, and it does act differently than mica powder does. And if it's going to be setting for a while, you're going to want to mix it up so that all that powder doesn't sink to the bottom. But it's phenomenal stuff. Anyway, so I'm just going to go over with the colors that I choose for each one of these, and we're just going over the white, and then that's going to be it with the glow powder. Then I decide that I want to kind of put a frame around each one of these because they just need to look a little bit more finished in my opinion. So once I'm done with this and the glow powders and that gloss varnish kind of dry, I'm just going to get some more of my gloss varnish, mix it in with some glitter, and then I'm going to go and border each one of these and then let that dry. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to start mixing our resin and getting this tray put together. Now, as I do this, I've got a story to tell you guys. Okay, I'm not a bug person. Like, I'm not. I don't honestly like. I don't even like killing bugs because I don't want to get the guts on my shoes. Like, I'm just. I will. Don't get me wrong. I will, but I don't like to for that reason. I yesterday I got in the shower and of course it's like spider season here, right? They're all coming out and I hate spiders. It's spiders and crickets are like the top notch of the bugs that I just don't like whatsoever. Like spiders terrify me, like hands down. I will use, if I have to kill it, I will use somebody else's shoe to kill it so that I do not get the guts on my shoes. Like it freaks me out. So I get in the shower yesterday. Everything's fine. It's great. I wash my face. I rinse my face. I get ready to wash my hair. And as I'm shampooing my hair, I look up and what do I see in the corner of the shower but a freaking spider? Like, okay, it's a daddy long leg. And I know. They don't hurt us. And I was fine with it. Like, I mean, I wasn't happy about it, but I can handle those. At least it wasn't one of those huge ones that look like they just want to eat your face off, you know? So I told him, and yes, I really, really did speak. I was like, all right, you just stay up in that corner of the ceiling and, you know, you can live another day and I'm not going to mess with you. You just stay away from me. And I proceed to continue showering. And then all of a sudden the spider decides that, it can't stay on its web. Like, it just starts, like, falling, acting like it's drunk. And the next thing I know, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, no, you need to stay up there. Meantime, you know, I'm not being real quiet about it, because I'm starting to freak just a little bit, because it's coming near me, and I don't have a shoe to kill it with, because I'm sitting naked in the shower, and my kids are home, because they closed schools yesterday. And my daughter's like, Mom, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. It's a spider. And I'm just like, to the spider, I'm like, look, dude, like, go back up in your corner. Meanwhile, this thing decides that it's going to hang on its web and it's swinging towards my head. Like, there's nowhere for me to go. And it's just swinging back and forth. And I'm like, dude, like, really? You need to go back up on your wall. So I start kind of, you know, splashing him a little bit with water, trying to get him to stay away from me. So he gets up on the side of the shower and he starts crawling up. And I'm like, all right, good. You just go back up there and we'll be fine. And then he falls. So now it's down on the bottom of the shower with me. And then that can't, no. So I scream like a little sissy girl to the point where my daughter thought, she's like, Mom, are you sure you're okay? She thought I hurt myself or something. And I'm like, yeah, the spider just, it fell. Now it's down in the bottom of the shower with me. So, you know, I freaked out for another 5 minutes trying to spray this thing down the you know, the drain. And, you know, like, I know that once you rinse it down the drain, and I stood there with the water going down it for like a good 2 minutes making sure this guy is like, he's gone. But, you know, like the rest of the time I'm showering, now I'm paranoid. I'm like, this spider, he's just going to come and he's going to crawl up this pipe and he's going to come and get me because now he's mad at me because I tried to kill him. And, you know, it was just a whole thing. So I just thought that maybe you guys would get a laugh because I know my daughter sure did at my expense with the, you know, spider from hell yesterday. Anyway, back to the video. I've got all my little wooden pieces done. Now it's time for the resin. So I'm using Let's Resin's epoxy resin, and what I'm going to do is, as you've seen, I used a combination of different black glitters and serpent scales and stuff like that. I'm going to take a couple drops of clear Elmer's glue because I just want to put this on like around the rim of the tray. And I don't want it all to sink because I've got so many different kinds, like it's going to sink. I figure I'll give the mold a quick spray of alcohol. This way, hopefully, since I have all that glitter in there, it'll help reduce any bubbles that are sticking to the surface so that I shouldn't have a problem with it. And this will just flow and we won't have any craters in here from all the glitter. And then I am going to kind of just let this do its thing right now. Now, my plan is I'm not going to wait for this to dry. I want to get these images in here, and obviously I need a clear layer around the bottom because this is where all of these wooden pieces that I did are going to go. So after I clean up the glitter on the sides, I am just going to pour clear glitter over the top. Clear glitter. Yeah, that would be kind of pointless. Clear resin over the top. Now, am I going to get some glitter that will probably come up and over the edges a little bit? Most likely, yes. But as long as it's just a little bit, I'm okay with that. I don't necessarily mind it kind of softening the line, if that makes sense, between the rim and the actual bottom of the tray. It can't be more than a little bit because I also don't want it to, you know, get in the way of all of the images that I just took all kinds of time painting on. So we're going to see how this goes. Put all my resin on there. Now, I am going to go over the top one of each of these with some resin to try and prevent any bubbles from getting trapped under there. I don't do a very good job at it. It's a spoiler. And then I remembered that I didn't hit it with the heat gun, so I am going to do that real quick just to make sure that there's no bubbles that are going to get trapped underneath. We're going to pop them all now. Hopefully, loosen up any ones that are kind of stuck to that surface just to make sure that they're not there. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to put each one of these down. Now, I did it because of the way that the images were and the size of the wood pieces that I have. There are 3 of them that are going longwise, and those are the 3 that I did in purple, so it's kind of some kind of symmetry to it. And then the other 6 are going sideways because I could fit the images that way. So we're just going to go the 3 going down in the middle, and then the other 6, 3 on each side going down there, and hopefully it works out. I don't know. This is the first time for doing this. Now, hindsight, I should have taken a little bit more time and care when I was placing these down, but I didn't. I just kind of flopped them all down after I put the resin on, pushed them down, and I didn't really take any kind of preventative measures to make sure that there was no bubbles trapped underneath. It's fine. It'll be fine. It really will. But, I should have done that. It would have saved me a whole day and another step later on, but it's fine. Now, with this, I should have sealed the sides and the back of each one of these because it's just raw wood showing, and we know that wood is porous and that we can get bubbles from it, right? So what I'm doing to kind of prevent bubbles from the next layer is I'm kind of going over. The resin isn't high enough for all of these pieces to sink all the way down and be completely covered up, so I am kind of smoothing resin over the back of them to prevent bubbles from appearing when I do my next layer. Now, as far as this goes, I didn't do it on the sides. I kind of just crossed my fingers and hope for the best on it. Otherwise, to be smart, you should probably seal the sides. I think I would have gotten a little bit less bubbles from that. But, hindsight is 2020. And the NicPro, I am just using their UV resin on here, and these are to fill the air pockets that I did get that kind of got stuck there, that either came from the sides not being sealed or up from underneath that just didn't make it all the way out. It's fine. You're not going to see them in the end. So we're just going to fill these up, cure these, and then we're going to work on some other stuff. Now, I had purchased these little skeletons from the Dollar Tree, and I decided that I was going to do it in another project, but I decided I want to do it in this one instead to kind of fill some of these empty spaces that are in here. That I'm going to cut this guy up, and we're going to have him kind of showing bits and pieces in the resin. Now I'm going to use the UV resin just to kind of hold him down and form a clear area around him so that it looks like he is sinking into the background of the tray when I flip it over. That's the effect I'm going for anyway. We'll have to wait and see if I get what I'm doing because I've never done this before either. So it's all a learning process and we're going to experiment today. But that's what I'm doing now. And then I'm going to go over all of this with UV resin, put it into place, and then I've got some fairy lights that I'm going to stick on here too. We're going to tack them down with a little bit of UV resin, and then we're going to go and mix up our background and do that. Now, as I go through all of this, I'm going to bounce off again. I will be back when we are ready to add our back layer of resin. See you then. So everything's all nice and dry. Lights are on. Everything's done. I'm using Les Resin's Fast Cure for this. Not entirely sure how much it's going to take. It doesn't look like I have a whole lot of room left in this. And then we are also going to use Les Resin's Black Mica. I'm going to mix that in. And then I'm also going to add some of their black alcohol ink in here and partially mix it in. Now, my reason for doing that is this way, hopefully I can get some variations in the black, because black mica powders, in my experience, typically aren't like black. Do you know what I mean? They've got more of like a gray or some kind of like a silver-ish tint to them. So I want to have some actual black, but I also wanted the effect of the mica powder that pearlescence, the movement that you get from using micas, which is why I decided to do mica as opposed to like a pigment paste. So we're gonna see. Now, here's another hindsight for you. I swear to God, when I was doing this, like, I chopped down the skeleton bits so that they would be underneath the top of my mold. The same thing with the fairy lights, the extra wire. I was trying to make sure that it was all down as well and I didn't have any issues with it. I also did decide that I was going to throw a few drops of alcohol ink just on the back of it too, just again to try and get some different effects with this. And then I'm taking my resin and I'm starting like kind of where the wires are, and I'm going to pour slowly over top of them. And my reason for doing this is I'm hoping that the resin will start to slowly move underneath of it, because I didn't UV resin the entirety of the wire and all of that. I just did where the lights were. So this way it'll flow and hopefully there won't be any air bubbles and stuff like that I'm going to have an issue with later on. Now, of course, once I get my resin down, I realize that these wires aren't as low as I thought they were. Neither are a handful of these skeleton pieces. So now I'm going to have an issue with them sticking out, which the skeleton pieces, okay, they can be possibly cut down, sanded down, whatever, flat, and then we can deal with it like that. I can't do that with the wiring though. So yeah, we got a little bit of an issue. Well, I put all of this down. I had to mix a little bit more, hoping that that would be enough. Of course, it's not. So after it dried, I did, and this was off camera, I mixed up a little bit more and I added it to the top before I demolded it, hoping that I could just kind of build it up and cover the rest of the wires. I did have to kind of cut off some of the skeleton pieces that were standing up. That was fine. There's one wire in particular that was kind of really high up. I don't understand how that happened, but it was. And I added more resin to it. It was all nice and perfect and just where it was supposed to be. I leave it and I did it. Like, what happened to the resin doesn't go where resin's never been thing? I don't know, because I left it. There was no resin on the sides of this. There was no resin anywhere. But if you've seen my post from a couple days ago where lo and behold, it decided that after I walked away, about 20 minutes later, I look in on it and it's done expanded itself to the edge of my mold. So that's going to be fun to clean up, but we'll get there. We'll get there. So this is just the first bit. I am going to let this dry. And like I said, I will add some more later on. And then we're going to demold this and see if it works out the way that I'm hoping that it worked out, because there's a lot of work that went into this one. All right, so all my resin's down. I've got it as high as I can go right now. Hit it with the heat gun. Make sure I've popped any bubbles that are on the surface. And then let this dry. Let the next layer dry. And let's see what we have. And here we go. Do you see that? Do you see that ridiculousness? But you can also see that there's a little bit of that wiring that you can still see. It is what it is. It's not really that much. Like, when you run your hand over it, it's not that bad. Like, it's covered with resin, so I think it'll be fine. I mean, to get rid of, like, that look, you could put, like, corkboard underneath of it, or even a piece of felt to kind of just have that glued on the bottom of it, just to kind of make that look nice and finished and so that you can't see it. But look how well this turned out. Like, I really like it. I really like it a lot. I did get some air bubbles underneath, so we're going to fix those after we clean off this edge. That was a chore. It was a lot thicker than I thought it was going to be, so I did have to take some like wire cutters or whatever and snip it off piece by piece. The lights work. You can see them. Not overpowering, which is good because I didn't want them overpowering. I just wanted kind of like the glow of lights to it, just so that when it's not completely, like, obviously the only time you're going to really see the glow is when you're in the dark. So this way, like, if you have your treats, sweets, whatever on it, displaying on it, you can have the lights going if you want. I don't know. It's cool. The only thing I'm kind of upset with myself about is the placement of where I have the battery pack. In my brain, when I was doing it, when I was laying down the pieces, I wanted to put it on the other side. And then after I had moved it and whatever, and it got turned around, I didn't pay attention to where I was putting it, because I wanted it like at the top of it, so that when you're looking at it, it's kind of hidden because you're looking at it from the right way. Do you know what I mean? And I kind of screwed that up, but it's fine. It'll be fine. We're gonna go with it. So I'm gonna clean this off real quick. Then what I'm going to do is to fix these bubbles after I kind of file down this edge. I'm just going to take my craft blade and I'm going to, because it's got like a very, very thin layer of resin there, I'm just going to kind of slice that off like I'm doing. And then we're going to get a little bit more of the Let's Resin Fast Cure. And I am going to just put a coat on this, go in with my dotting tool, and make sure that I'm removing all of the air from it so that you can't even see that those air bubbles were ever even there. This is the best way, the best method that I have found for fixing these type of issues. I have tried UV resin and I have never been able to fill the holes with UV resin and it come a flat finish so that you can't see. It's always either just slightly down or just slightly over the top. So my recommendation would be, if you have an issue with air bubbles on the top like this, that you take the time, bust them open, clean out any of the, the little bit of resin that may be there, clean that off, and then just go ahead and use regular epoxy resin. Do a thin layer. Like, obviously it's a tray. I don't want to do a whole lot. I want to do just enough just to cover the entire surface of it, fill in those bubbles, and then they completely disappear and they don't even look like they were there ever. So that's what I recommend. Now, because the box was white and obviously this piece is not, I just went over it with a Sharpie marker to color it so it kind of blends in a little bit better. And then once this new layer of resin is put on, we're going to go ahead and we will tack that on with a little bit of E6000 glue and some UV resin just to kind of hold it immediately, since it does take a little bit of time for that E6000 to fully cure. And that's it. It's done. I love how this turned out. Like, I am so happy with this. It's dark, it's spooky. I love the pictures. I love the whole aesthetic of it. I love the bones. I could have done a little bit better of a job getting them to look like they were sinking in as opposed to how they look. And I think I just used too much UV resin. I should have used a little bit less, and then it would kind of swallowed up them a little bit more to make them look more like they were kind of just floating on the top and you're just barely seeing them, as opposed to what you can see now. But all in all, I love it. I think it's awesome. Let me know what you guys think in the comment box. I would love to know. And as I kind of just finish this up, I've already told you what I'm going to do in the next step after this is cured. I'm going to wrap this up, guys. Like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. I will see you on Saturday in the next one. Love ya. Bye.
Skeletons that start to rise, glowing red and haunted eyes. Coffins creak and doors they slam, cursed by an undead jam. Vampires whisper in the dark, fangs that leave a chilling mark. Halloween, oh what a fright, ghosts and ghouls all are out tonight. Creepy crawlies in the mist, join the spooky monstrous list. Witches flying on their brooms, candles flicker in old rooms. Zombies stumbling on the street, monsters dancing to the beat. Pumpkin faces grinning wide, spooky tales we can't hide. Haunted nights and eerie sights, living for the ghostly frights. Halloween, oh what a fright,
smiles grinning wide, spooky tales we can't hide, haunted nights and eerie sights, living for the ghostly frights. Halloween, oh what a fright! Ghosts and ghouls are out tonight. Creepy crawlies in the mist, join the spooky monstrous list. Monsters in the night, ready for a bite. Trick or treat delight, dancing in the moonlight. Goblins on the street, moving to the beat. Candy on repeat, spooky hands and feet. Groove with the ghosts, party with the ghouls. Halloween host, breaking all the rules. Ooh. Witches in the air, flying everywhere. Pumpkin spooky glare, chills in the midnight air.